Hey everyone, it's time for another ink stain minstrel tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to do a fun technique called watercolor lettering. It's very similar to brush lettering if you've ever tried anything like that before. Just a few simple techniques to get you started, and you're going to want a few different supplies as well. Today I'm going to be using this fine liner brush that I got from Hobby Lobby actually last night. They're having a really big sale if you want to go check that out today. And I'm also going to be using a very small watercolor palette by Daler & Rowney. You can get stuff like that at your local hobby store as well. And then I will be using a watercolor paper that is very basic. Anything really will work. I use cold press, not hot press. And go ahead and get your cup of water ready as well. Alright, so today we are going to go over a watercolor lettering technique. And we are going to be using a very fine liner brush like I showed you before. I have my water ready here, and here's my palette. And I'm just going to start laying out the basic workflow. Let me go ahead and get my palette wet really quick. So I'm wetting my watercolor palette just to get the colors nice and soft for me. Then go ahead and swirl that around, get your brush nice and pigmented. Alright, so with a nice thin liner brush, we're going to use some basic pressure skills. So if this is something that's new to you, it might take a little bit to get used to. So you have your upstrokes and your downstrokes when you're doing letters. I've taught you that before. Upstrokes are going to be nice and thin, and then downstrokes you're going to put more pressure on, and it's going to be thicker. Okay? Now don't be afraid to have your brush pretty wet, because you're going to get some nice pigment that way. This is actually a new brush, and I've not really tried it out yet, so let's see how this goes. We're going to go ahead and start forming some letters. So right here, I'm putting barely any pressure going up, and then we're putting more pressure going down, then up. And you can fill out those lines if you want. So see, it's a nice, beautiful calligraphy look with watercolor. Now this is a thinner brush, so my downstrokes are still going to be somewhat thin, and you can always thicken those if you desire. Alright, and so we're going up nice and thin, and then down you're putting that pressure. And then swirl it through. This is a very fun technique. You can use it, you know, for lots of fun projects, and this is also, you know, the basic technique for brush lettering if you're using brush markers. We're putting a nice thin line with no pressure when we go up, and then down we're pressing through that stroke to make it nice and thick. Okay. And of course, if you want, you can mix colors as well. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and wet another color. I'll go ahead and wet a green to complement the blue. Go pick that color up. And then we're going to touch it into the color we just laid down. Try not to get too much water like I just did. The other color. Now, if you use a slightly bigger brush, if you want bigger letters than what I'm doing right here, then just make sure to get a round. You can get a liner brush, or you could just get a round brush, which are thicker, and they'll give you a much thicker look for your letters. I really like the way that the thin lines look because it looks a lot more reminiscent of calligraphy to me. With watercolor, the technique is, you know, really endless for what you can do with it. All the color possibilities and mixture possibilities are just really, they can be beautiful. Go across this T. And there you have it. Very simple, but super fun.